Afraid to ask her. She's aggressive.
Good live, but I don't know if it's recording.
Okay, it says, yeah, good. Okay. All right, then we'll go ahead and get this 26 budget session for the Henry County Council to session. I know everybody has a ton of documents in front of them. Ken and I were joking how we all need our own table to spread out because there's so much data. With this changes that we made at the previous two sessions and then the corrections and where we landed, my big thing that I looked at was the general fund and the overall max levy. Even with all the additions we did and the switches and changes, our net, we're just a little over $100,000 over our expected revenue, the extremely low number that Baker Tilly projects as a 18,785. Because the thing is we reduced the parks overall levy by about 70,000 and reduced the health department's overall levy by 102,000. And when you take those two and throw it, because those would move to that general fund, so that 172,000 would be to be tacked onto the 18,795. We come in about 18,980, and we're budgeted at 19,1 right now. So we come in expected revenue of about 18,980. So let's just call it 19 million, and we're budgeted at 19,1. So we're only $100,000 over budget in general fund. Is that what you came up with too, Shannon? I know you're the number spreadsheet cruncher here. Because that's what I tended to put together a
That sounds
spreadsheet,
reasonable to me, yeah.
but unfortunately, I think I told most people, and I may have to leave if you weren't here. My mom is in the hospital. My daughter's sitting with her. So if I get a call, I may have to bolt, but anyhow, we're about $100,000 over budget in the general fund. I looked through the rest of the funds that the rest of the updates that Debbie provided to us a few days ago. Did not see any other major concerns. The one thing of note with the general fund, this has zero built in for raises. This is just all of the other changes we made with the insurances, with creating an EMS line in the commissioner's budget and everything. But it has zero raises built in. And when we set with zero raises, we're about $100,000 over budgeted the way I see it as of now. All of the other funds look to be in decent shape. When you back out all the raises, there's a little bit of a cushion in there. I know that Shannon distributed some information, some thoughts he had here. So I think I'll pass it to you first, Shannon, if you want to jump in here and kind of share your thoughts and because I know you have been very integral in all these raises over the past couple of years and doing all the calculations. And you've also made some suggestions on this sheet that you handed out and some of the information you sent us earlier. So
Sure. So for those listening or that are not aware, I sent a couple of pages worth of summary notes to the full council, reviewing a number of things. But for this meeting, I handed them out my budget thoughts. And one of the biggest things on this list is based on the email that I forwarded to the full council from Jason Semler regarding how much we really need to keep in reserves in jail lit, because I have heard it referred to as we need to keep one payment, we need to keep 1.5 payments, we need to keep a full year, and we need to keep a full year and a half. And so and if you look at those numbers, that ranges from $850,000 to $2.5 million. That's a big range. So his response was, and I asked him for copies of paperwork from the bond showing what the covenant requirements are. He reviewed the bond paperwork and let me know that there are no covenant requirements in that bond lit. And Baker Tilly's recommendation, though, is to keep 1 year of bond payment on hand, just in case the lid is not bringing in enough dollars. You have enough time to make a change in your income tax rate to be able to make up any difference for the following year. So if we keep the $1.725 million in jail lit, the projected balance is $2.9 million. That gives us $1.2 million in jail lit that we have available to spend. Now, I would not want to spend that all in one year. We know we've got at least 2 years to get to the point where all these income taxes have to be redone. So the sheet that I handed out suggests doing something similar to what we did with the merit deputies and the public safety lit last year, and that is to move the wages from some of the sheriff's jail personnel over to jail lit. So the document I show you shows moving the jail commander and assistant jail commander, the matron and assistant matron, the clerks, the control room attendants, and the cooks out of the 380 jail lit, or out of the 380 jail budget into jail lit. That total is $619,291 that would come directly out of the general fund. If you use the 7.65% for Medicare and Social Security, another 73,000 comes out of commissioner's budget. Those were paid out of commissioners because those were all general fund salaries. So that's almost $700,000 that we free up in the general fund budget, moving it over to the jail budget, jail lit. And then I also, on the document that I shared with you guys, because I had a document that showed what the impact was of the raises to the general fund and to the lits. And because there were no wages in jail lit previously, there was no impact to the jail lit with wage increases. But if we move those over, those that little spreadsheet document copy that I have pasted into that document shows you what the cost to midpoint, cost to 97%, and cost to 95% is, and including with Social Security and Medicare and PERF, what those look like. So that would impact the jail lit balance reserves by 700, and if we did maximum of there, $740,000 would still leave well over $500,000 in jail lit reserves above what Baker Tilly recommends. A few other notes I have on there also involve increasing inmate medical to $750,000 from the $650,000. That would take another $100,000 out of jail lit. One of the questions I had on my previous document involves secure beds. We were concerned whether 150,000 would be enough. There's enough reserves in public safety lit to increase that by $100,000 to put $250,000 for secured beds. I noted that $90,000 roughly is allocated in the election budget because next year's an election year. I don't feel like we need to be that concerned with that amount and that we should be fine paying it out of reserves. We can pay the 290 additional for Newcastle EMS out of reserves. And if the commissioners come up with something for Shirley and Middletown, some kind of a contract, then we can do an additional appropriation next year. And if we do all of those things, and I didn't touch on number one on my list, but I included the spreadsheet that I sent to you guys, and that is to include projected conservative lit estimates to increase the lit receipts by 2.7%, which was the number given to us by Wagner, Irwin, Shealy as the cost of living adjustment that they expect to see for next year. And then I suggested reducing supplemental by 50% of what we received this year. If we do those things, that would bring in an additional $984,000 into the budget. Those are dollars that I think we're going to see anyway. We've done conservative budgeting for the last several years, and we've built up an $11 million reserve. And I still think we will have additional money coming in beyond what I estimate for that, but that's what I would suggest using. So those are my thoughts on how to get the budget in line with where it could be and also to provide raises to all employees across the county of 100% of midpoint.
My pen wasn't ready. Could you repeat everything you just said?
Sure, from the top. No, I'm kidding.
So I do have a more specific question. I know that when I was looking back through on the public safety lit, that's one, and I understand we have reserves, but I understand we also have to play the DLGF game too. And if we budget too far over, they may come back and not like that. So we have to be conservative. Not on lit, we're gonna be okay?
They don't really care, yeah.
Okay, oh, good. Then we should be good. Cause I know that the only thing is we're already budgeted 7K over if we did it as it was presented.
Mhm.
And I know that extra 100,000. So, I mean, but there should be, again, like you said, there's a reasonable
Reasonable
surplus.
surplus.
And
yeah.
the other thing, the thing about all the surpluses are, they're all going to be repositioned in 28. Now, Jason could not answer where they go or how that gets transferred, so we don't know what happens to them. As of right now, the way their understanding is, it all gets dumped into the general fund, is what Jason's said as of today, but obviously there's a few sleeps between now and then 27. The other question I have is, we already at the 19.1 number have $400,000 built into the general fund for the EMS. Is your recommendation to remove that?
I
And
think
then,
it needs to be budgeted. I don't care if it's 290 or 400, it's gonna be in there, but I think that we have the reserves to pay that. And one of the questions I had on my previous sheet was, how are we gonna pay this? We've got an upcoming discussion about EMS lit, and we talked about not raising the EMS lit because we were so well funded in the budget discussions we had last week. We added it to the budget with comments from several of us, not all of us, that I can't see raising our income taxes when we have this much in available budget to pay this. So we put that $400,000 in there. I'm okay paying the $400,000 out of the general fund, how that gets divvied up to EMS and NCEMS, Shirley, Middletown, whatever. I guess I put that in here saying I feel like it's okay to pay it out of reserves. I don't feel the need to raise taxes. That's how I see that.
well, I mean, obviously, I definitely said the same thing last week. I can't see raising taxes, especially when we have to completely rework the tax system when we're sitting on a very solid reserve. Okay. The only other concern I have in your 380 to lit is all of these are reoccurring charges. They're not one-time charges. And
Correct.
so if you do this for the next 2 years, you're going to spend down
And then it goes away.
and then, but it goes away, but we'll still have to replace that $700,000 number you said.
And
So
we're gonna have to redo all the lits anyway. yes.
it'll have to get readjusted at that point. That's my only, I guess, note of a potential upcoming issue for those of us who are here in 27 when we go to budget. That fund could be very wiped out. And then we'll have to find a way to put that $700,000 back in some budget, because all of these positions, these are people. These aren't
Right.
one-time purchases.
This body gets to decide how those income tax changes are made moving forward. And we know there's gonna be changes from the State House. like you said, we're gonna have to redo all this in 2 years anyway. So leaving a balance in there, why? I mean, I understand the
So-
balance to make the bond payment, no question.
So I mean, just to kind of land the plane here, your recommendation is if we do all this, then it frees up the $700,000 in the general fund that we can take salaries to full midpoint.
Yeah, yeah, and we'll get a balanced budget and we can take all the salaries to that point. And it consumes the reserves that we have sitting in jail lit that we weren't sure we could spend. And we spend them over 2 years. We still leave the amount needed to pay the bond payment for 1 year, and we adjust to income taxes when it's time.
We on the south end, Bobby and I would like to comment when there's
Go
an
ahead, Kenan.
opening. One comment I have is I agree with what I still believe are conservative numbers by going half the supplemental and the 2.7 that I think Wagner and Shealy recommended for cost of living. I looked over those. I personally felt comfortable with you using those numbers and your analysis going forward. That's all I wanted to say.
I still stand by, we go by Baker's Tilly's numbers, but that's neither here nor there. There's 7 people. My concern, I think Chad kind of started to go down that road or did go down that road. You move things into the lit and it doesn't matter what we're going to do 2 years from now, even if the lit changes and it all comes to the general fund, there's still going to be bond payments, there's still going to be things. And when you take from one fund to free it up to take to another fund that then is static and not one time, it continues to grow. My personal opinion, you're making a big mistake because I can take money from my savings account every month to put into my checking account because I need to pay my bills. Eventually, my savings account is going to go away. And we can't be so myopic to go, well, you know what, if we just take it from over here and over here, it's a shell game. To me, it's a shell game. We're just saying, you know what, we're just going to take it over here and look, we've got all this money and we've taken it from here to here. Look at public safety. It is estimated to go into the negative. I don't have that one up here, but let me pull it up. It is estimated to go into the negative real soon.
Without any increases. Without any increases from 25 whatsoever and no supplement.
I understand, but I understand that.
Mhm.
But what we can't do now is because over $1 million was taken from the general fund for salaries and put in public safety, we now can't take that and put it back into the general fund. And you have to be mindful of that. I want to give raises to everybody. I would give $1 gazillion if we had it. And it's not about giving raises or not giving raises. And yes, we do have a healthy reserves, but how many years are we going to go into the reserves year after year after year before we have a problem?
We
And
budgeted
saying, well, you know,
conservatively.
we get to redo the taxes how we want them done. We still have to be fiscally responsible. And when you're moving money, as my dad would say it, taking from Peter to pay Paul, it doesn't make any sense. My personal opinion.
I'll simply say what you suggested doing, I think falls within the realm of what we've been doing. And what we've been doing, we've kept within the Baker Tilly budget. We've been very conservative as they are, and we keep building our reserves. There's such a thing as being overly conservative.
Yeah.
That's hard for me to say, but when we go from 0% general fund balance to 60% using conservative numbers, number one, raises are important. We made a big dent in that last year, more than we've done. I still feel very comfortable in what you're saying. And by operating in that fashion, we keep building, and we keep building. And with what you said, we're not going to go into the negative from the balance we have, I don't believe.
I agree with what Kenan said. The numbers are conservative. Everything in the economy looks like it's about to catch on fire. if the Fed lowers interest rates, the economy will go farther, lit will grow far above the 3%. And I don't think we should be accumulating more reserves in lieu of raises. I would have a hard time justifying to any employee, no, we didn't think there was money. We're not going to give the raises. Let's came in higher. Oh, our reserves went up more. I would have a hard time doing that. So I've looked this over. I agree with it. I'm comfortable with it.
So I know I said last week that I definitely like to stay with the Baker Tilly number. I feel a little comfortable going over. There's one thing that was jumped out to me when I got to looking at this afterwards. This is the first time I have ever seen this study by Baker Tilly that they left it flat. They did not increase it a single penny. And that is a first that I've been familiar with. And maybe it's happened in the past and I've missed it, but I don't remember it ever being flat. Second, while interest rates are creeping down, we still have a large amount of money sitting there and nothing is accommodated for any interest on that money. So even if we get half the interest we were getting, we're getting on average, right? I think Bill said close to $40,000 a month or something. It's a significant number. So in the different interest income that we have, so even if that's cut by half, that's still $250,000 just in interest income that is not accounted for anywhere on the sheet without touching the any kind of balance that we have. So as it stands right now, like I said, we're $147,000 over the general fund flat estimate that Baker Tilly provided. We're $147,000 over that. Now, I hear what Bobby's saying, and I would rather be a little more cautious than taking that big of a number to the jail lit. I could, instead of 7, could I see taking 4 and then budgeting that interest and the potential increase to make up the rest? Because what I don't want to do is back ourselves into a corner where next year we're scrambling. So could I see taking half of that number and then still leaving the reserve in there, knowing that should we have to, we could always do an additional appropriation if we needed to out of that fund? I would have a little more comfort zone at taking a lower number, but understanding that my guess on I took half of your 2.7 number and then added the interest in, and we still have $500,000 to play with before I think we get to closer to the actual or still a conservative estimate for next year. I don't think it's unheard of that. I mean, we have saw an increase in revenues jump, it's averaged. I mean, one year it was 17%, 6%, 3%. I mean, 3% has been our low on the revenue increases. So, I mean, yes, SB1 is going to take a hit on that. But even if we take that out, I think that we're still going, because an AV does not come out until next week. Has anyone seen a single house in this community that's going down in price? I mean, it's not softened at all. I was at that groundbreaking this morning with Jay and talked to a couple of real estate agents. I mean, things have slowed a little bit, but the market prices are still up there.
So you're not questioning any of the expenditures. It's just whether we do reduce the general fund reserve or the lit reserve. That's
That's
pretty
kind of
much
where
where,
I'm at, because we have such a large number in the general fund reserve. I'm wondering if it would be just to err on the side of caution for the jail lit and maybe do 400 or whatever number works out to, and just leave the 300 as in the general fund, knowing that we're going to see it. And your total impact remind me your number on total impact to the general fund if you went to full midpoint, Shannon, was 500 and
Well, it's 539.
plus.
No, that's total
Total
with
with-
everything.
perfect.
However, if you took the wages that I mentioned and moved them into jail lit, that takes 38,000 of that. So you're right at $500,000.
Okay. Which is about the number I just mentioned that I think we have to play with.
Yeah, and if you use the lit estimates that I used, that adds 501,953 to the general fund. Those conservative lit estimates do. It adds 220,000 to public safety lit, and it adds 213,000 to jail lit.
And something that Shannon, share what you shared with me earlier today when we talked about the fire department and the safety, because I think that's important to
Okay,
remember.
yeah, on the-
because I didn't remember that.
On the spreadsheet that I sent out that showed a 2.7% increase in all of the lits, if you look at the public safety lit, actually back calculates to 5.689%. The reason that is because the DLGF took the 592,000 this year and gave it to 9 fire departments, and then they took the additional 125,000 off the top of public safety lit and gave it to the city of Newcastle. What we did a few weeks ago with the tax council changed the payouts. We actually gave exact dollar amounts, and the exact dollar amounts total that 592 or 597. I can't remember what it was. So the amount of dollars that would have come out this year was 722,000. We've backed that off to 590, I'm going to call it 597. So that difference, that $132,000 difference gets split amongst all the taxing authorities. So roughly $59,000 or 58 or 59, whatever it was, is going to come to the county, our 48% of that $120-some thousand. That's just a correction to the way things happened last year. So you add that 58, 59 to the 2.7% increase, which was another 58, 59. And that ends up being a 5.689% increase in public safety lit.
Sounds like you two are getting closer and closer to an amount between 400 and 500,000 compared with 20 minutes ago.
I think it's up to, I mean, at the end of the day, we've got to figure out what we want to turn in and what we're all comfortable with budgeting at, over, below what Baker Tilly's number is. And then decide how much, what everyone feels like is the reasonable answer for addressing wages. Because, and I think that's the bottom line, and there's 7 of us, and I'm guessing we got 7 opinions. So we just have to find some common ground amongst ourselves to see what's that best move. What's behind us?
Did you-
Back up there,
New tactical training back to the sheriff's department, how to be sneaky.
Did you video it so we have actual evidence?
I should have looked, it's right there.
Oh,
Okay,
From your standpoint of not moving as much into jail lit, I'm fine with that. It does.
no one else spoke up, so I mean, I may be the only one that feels that. Well, Bobby was not one, is there a number, well, yeah, your number comfortable? Her number is 0. My number is less than yours. I haven't heard any other numbers. I haven't heard anyone else kind of, I mean, you said you agreed with Shannon, and so are you comfortable with his number?
I agreed with him using the 2.7% cost of living COLA, and I also agreed with his going half supplemental because we will be getting supplemental. And the latest finance report was a lot rosier than what the Senate used back in April. When the June numbers came out, the income for the state revenues was considerably higher than the gloom and doom. All those are pointing kind of in the direction of what Scott was referring to. And again, if we do the same old, we're going to just keep building on our general fund balance, which I think 60%. When we were 0%, Jason said, I hope you can get to 15%. When we were 15%, he says, I hope you can get to 25%. When we were 25%, he says, I hope you can get to 35. At no point did he say, you need to get to 60%, yet we have been very conservative. And Baker Tilly did put in an adjustment for SCA 1. So that doom and gloom is incorporated into their estimates.
Time for me to wake up. I will, the report that Brian just sent to us that was out shows that our lit for certified shares, it is the very first one, is estimated to be 12,561,813. My 2.7% had $12,264,629, or it's $12,264,629. Baker Tilly's was 11,942,271. So yeah, it's a good 5%.
And you said, yeah, what was their first, the 12? Just say 12 point.
12.56
Okay.
million.
That's significant. That in itself is $600,000. So that would already put us $500,000 under budget if we didn't change anything.
Well, that's the overall county certified shares that has not been split yet.
Okay. Yeah, but, and then
So you want to know what how that gets to?
Yeah, but then
Will the county get about 45% of that though?
Roughly.
47.
Hold on a second, I'll adjust the percentage to get in my spreadsheet where it gets closer. And 16.
Just tapping that.
if you scroll down, there's
There you go.
So it's a 5.175% increase is what the DLGF estimates. And that would be almost $300,000 increase to the general fund in certified lit, not counting not counting supplemental whatsoever. So the certified shares distribution to county general would go from 5610 to 5901. So $290,000. Is that right? 290. Yeah, 290. Public safety lit would go from 2196 to 2377. Let's see, jail lit would go from 2.388 to 2.512. And EMS, judicial, those are all listed on that sheet as on the. Yeah, from 477 to 502, something like that. Yeah. So it's about a 5.174% increase in DLGF's estimates over what Baker Tilly used.
yeah.
Yeah. If you use a 50% reduction in supplemental, the grand total add to the general fund would be $640,000. To public safety lit would be 276,000. To jail lit would be 272,000.
And that's where I guess my $500,000, because we're 147 over, so right at that already.
And I don't mean to sound doom and gloom, but DLGF is adamant to not use the supplemental in your budgets. Adamant. They send a memo out every year to not budget supplement. And I know I'm a stickler for that, but if DLGF is telling you not to budget supplement, I don't think we should be adding that in.
I haven't heard that from DLGF, but I've heard it from Baker Tilly.
DLGF sent out a memo last year saying, do not budget your supplements. Everybody got it. They say, do not budget supplement.
I don't think, given the new numbers from the state today, that we even have to. I don't even think that's necessary. I don't disagree with Bobby. Just every year they say that,
Mhm.
more and more comes in, but even, I don't think it's even necessary to calculate the supplement.
I think we can balance the budget without it.
Well, yeah, given the new numbers you just shared and Brian shared with us, I don't think it's even necessary.
Chad, back to your point about not moving as much to the jail lit, if we were gonna not move something, I would suggest not moving the control room attendants. 198,000, leave it in 380. If you want to do that, we can. That would not eat into the reserves as much and leave more available after year 2.
So that's still moving half a million.
Pretty close, yeah. If you give me a minute, I'll calculate what the impact is on the raises.
Anyone else have any other thoughts, comments? Jay, go right ahead, man.
I myself really struggle with not following the organizations that we contract to, whether it be Wagner, Early and Shealy recommendations or Baker Tilly recommendations. You know, we reach out, we reach out to them to provide us with recommendations. With this additional information today, I would struggle
You better go get it.
go over Baker Tilly's recommendations, knowing we have this 5.1% increase with the certified shares. I think what we just heard, we can budget within that, myself personally. And if there's anything, rather than moving some of these changes that Shannon mentioned, rather than moving the bulk of those out of the jail or out of the general fund into the jail lit. I think that at this point, with the excess that we have in general fund, that would be more ideally spent on that type of thing for the next couple of years, rather than to completely remove them from the general fund budget. Thank you.
The control room attendants were not budgeted to receive a raise next year, so removing them doesn't change the raises. That was at the request of the sheriff's department. So that number doesn't change on that printout that I sent you.
Okay, thank you. So.
I have no problem funding that out of reserves.
And I see what
but
you're
I
saying,
disagree
'cause
with moving it into jail.
it's reserves in the jail lit versus reserves in the general. It's, yeah, kind of.
And I would say
get it.
reserves in the general would fund that and leave it there.
Oh, yeah, it is. I saw this. All right, Kenan, do you have a Saul or Scott?
I think the only person we haven't heard from is Mike. and he wants-
Well,
He had a call for, health related.
I'm okay moving some of the reserves out of the jail lit. Like you just said, leave the control room attendants. So, yeah.
so you'd be okay with everything, but what he's recommending was suggesting, I guess, not recommending might be the right term, to leave the control rooms in the general and move the rest to the jail lit.
Correct.
Kenan?
Yes. I agree with what Scott just said.
Mike? Sorry to put you on the hot seat here, but we're having a discussion, so catch you up. Jay and Bobby are of the mindset they'd like to not remove the suggestions to the lit. Scott and Kenan have said that they're okay with moving B through H, but leaving the control room attendants in the general fund. And I wanted to get your opinion as we're going through.
All right. I'm kind of going to stick with Bobby and Jay. I don't think we should. I mean, we pay Wagner Irwin a lot of money to do what they do. And or Baker Tilly, but I just think that it's not going to hurt us to put a little bit back for reserve for a while. I mean, I think we've been pretty fortunate and pretty lucky with this man's, mind and moving money around and numbers around, but we're getting to a point where I think we really need to put a little bit back and hang on to it.
There's 1.2 million sitting there.
But that jail lit is also, whatever. That also helps with maintaining this building, and it's not cheap to maintain this building. So let's say, God forbid, the entire roof comes off of this building. And I know I'm going catastrophic. But the entire roof goes off this building. What goes into, what are you guys gonna do if the entire roof comes off this building and you're seeing sunshine?
We're gonna call the insurance company.
But what are you gonna do with your inmates? If the entire roof comes off this building,
Part of the insurance claim, I guess Scott could.
yeah, so catastrophically, but this jail lit isn't just sitting here for nothing. This money isn't just sitting here for nothing. It is also to help maintain this building and maintaining, and Jay's been in here and they've been in here. And we've seen the claims that come in when something needs to be fixed, and it's not a $10 fix. So yes, we may have a reserve in there, but I mean, you guys have all toured this building. There's nothing cheap in here. So,
I don't have any problem keeping it in reserves if that's what we want to do. I know you haven't shared your opinion yet, Chad. I would just as soon see it moved over there and consume some of those reserves. Everything's going to change by 2 years from now. And if there's reserves sitting there, they will be moved over to the general fund or put into a non-recurring or non-reverting fund that could be used to pay. It's 6 and 1/2 dozen of another to me. If there's no reserves in there and this roof blows off, we're gonna have to spend money out of the general fund to fix it until we get reimbursed by insurance company. So it makes no difference to me where the reserves sit. Unless we're going to talk about not paying our employees because we're trying to build reserve, then it concerns me.
I didn't say that.
So,
But
go ahead, Scott.
The reserves were that high because we thought we had to keep it for the bond payment.
And prior to last year, we were restricted to only spending 20% of what came in. I don't know if we talked about that a little bit. I read the laws that changed last time. So we were collecting more than we were legally allowed to spend for several years, a few years since the jail bond was put in place, since the jail lit was put in place. So it built reserves that we would have loved to have spent rather than eating out of the general fund. Now we have that ability and we don't have to.
Allowed to spend on operations. clarify that it's allowed to spend on operations, not allowed
Okay,
to
fine.
spend.
We were not allowed to spend it on operations.
Right.
We had
It
to,
wasn't that
we
we
had
weren't
to
allowed
pay
to
the bond
spend it
payment and we could spend no more than 20% of what came in on
on
operations.
operations.
So we paid the bond payment, we spent the 20% and the rest sat there in reserves, not able to spend. So now we have the ability to spend it and then it's all going away in 2 years anyway. So.
Well, I guess I'm going to share my opinion now then, because you've asked. And so I'm going to stick with what my original thought was. I feel better about a lower number and a hybrid situation. And mostly because of what you just said is that this is going to be reduced anyhow. And God forbid the roof does fall off. We still have, you know, it will still leave $2.5 million in this account nearly to address that situation. By reducing $500,000 out of it, it'll leave more than $2.5 million in there. And that's, you know, I think that's still a pretty significant number to have in hold. Because there's zero, let's be honest, if we get $0 in the jail lit in 27, we've got a lot bigger problems than we're going to be able to fix. Because there's no way we're not going to get any income whatsoever. So it's, yeah, if we do, then we're all, I mean, we've got to the end of days, you know, apocalypse type scenario here. So, I mean, I would feel more comfortable. I was thinking more half. I could be convinced at the 500 versus 700. That's because at the end of the day, and Jay, like Jay said, it's reserves. So whether it's general fund reserves, lit reserves, it's all reserves. And for everything we know in 28, it's all going to be one reserve. Anyway, it's all going to, as the way the statute is set today, they're all going to get thrown in the same bucket come 28.
To be determined by this body.
Unless, yeah, unless we change that, which I have recommendations that we probably should set up some non-reverting funds but we can all, that's a way deeper subject than I think we get into today, but I think it's something we definitely should keep on our mind and do, and setting up some non-reverting funds to hold things in reserve. That being said, that's my opinion. I could live with the B through H into the general fund, which would free up $500,000 in the general fund. Now, I think that's 4 of us, right? Because the 4 of us agreed to that. So I think that's, I mean, unless anyone has any of the ones that don't agree want to say anything more, I'm happy to.
You might want to take a kind of a vote to make sure.
Consensus.
We can't vote.
We can take a consensus.
Let me change the word to a straw poll.
A consensus.
Are we still
is the proper term.
4-3? That's all I'm saying, because there's a lot of information came out since we went around the table.
Yes, I just want, that's kind of what I was wanting to do is give everybody else an opportunity. So
I'm going to say no.
you're no to the proposed, okay, Shannon?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so it is 4-3 in support of. So the plan is to move on these, Bobby and Debbie, the B through H on, do you have a copy of this? I guess I should ask, I'm sorry.
Yeah, we need to-
Okay, thank you.
Start at the beginning. Control-
So under number 2, the matron, down to the social security, down to H. So B through H would be moved from the general funds, in the 380 general fund to the, jail lit, leaving the control room attendants, the 197,000 under A.
That $73,003 is calculated including the control room attendants. So you'll have to refigure that and we'll have to take a smaller amount out of the general fund for that.
Do you say the control room goes back to 380 or?
Stays in
Stays
380.
in 380.
It
It's
stays in
budgeted there
380,
now,
okay.
yeah.
Yeah, 73,000. 15,000.
15.
Okay, were there any other thoughts or, oh, go ahead, Debbie, you got a
So
question?
that's the only thing you're talking about now.
That's the only thing we've done so far. We're not 3 through 8 yet.
And I'm just saying, I'm gonna have to get help on this budget. Because everything is above now what I advertised. So everything's gonna have to come in as an additional appropriation. Your county general's higher, your lits are higher than what I advertised. So it's, I'm gonna have to get Paige to help me figure out how to do it.
Yep.
So.
Yeah.
Cause I can't adopt it the way you're proposing it.
Yeah,
Anytime you go into reserve.
which we've done that before, and what I think the last time yeah, we did it for quite a large number, and I remember we had to do an additional for insurance. It was a 7-figure additional at the first of the year.
One line because I messed up.
Yeah, but I mean, we could do that. We could do it as one line and then,
Yeah, but I'm moving from one to the other and so I was gonna get Paige to help.
yeah, but I mean, okay. All right, so what is the current route of inmate medical and, okay. So the next thing Shannon has on his list is to increase inmate medical by $100,000 in the 380 lit.
Not 380 in
Oh,
jail.
in jail lit, I'm sorry, jail lit.
Wasn't this the one that, last year, or the year before, we had to do an additional appropriation of almost 400,000 or $500,000?
Yes.
Because it, and I do remember, now the whole world's gonna fall apart, John, because I'm going to back you up on this and you don't pass out. I remember that year in your budget hearing, you said inmate medical was gonna be about $700,000. I do remember that. And then it budgeted at 250 or whatever it was, and then we had to do an additional appropriation. So I doubt inmate medical is going down.
It may, because, our jail population.
Oh, yeah, the jail population is down.
That's correct. So, we've, been in contact with the medical providers and, they said that when we come to the end of this contract, which is October-ish, something like that,
Yeah.
that they will have the discussion about lowering it, with a previous year of lower jail numbers. So it may, obviously prices are going up, but maybe
Yeah,
there's.
completely agree. And it tracked last year to be $800,000.
Right.
And I couldn't, and obviously everybody on the council agreed with me last year is I couldn't make myself budget $800,000 for inmate medical. Let's just give it 650 and see how it goes. We may end up with an additional this year for inmate medical. It's tracking at $800,000 again this year. And part of that is contractual that they're hoping
Right.
to renegotiate in
Mhm.
October. Even if the contractual drops it down, I think it's still gonna exceed 650.
Yeah, I mean, I'm saying that because I think it should be increased, because I think it's odd when you see what actual figures are, and then you go, well, last year was actually 700,000, but we think we're only gonna budget 400,000. That doesn't make any sense to me.
Mhm.
It's like me looking at my own budget and go, well, my mortgage this year is this, but maybe it might go down, so I'm only gonna set back half of what I
Well, they
need.
switched companies last year in
Yes, I'm
October,
aware.
which was really hopeful.
Actually, I don't think it was like, it was in 20, it was 20.
Year
yeah, it was
before, sorry.
last.
I
Yep.
stand corrected.
Yep.
Completely agree, but that's my thought is I don't think 650 is enough. I think 750 will get us a lot closer.
Okay. So Bobby agrees with that one. Does anybody else have any other opinions on changing that in the lit?
From 500?
From 650 to 750, increase it $100,000 in the lit.
Oh, yeah.
Me going back there, go with, I will go ahead and increase that. I just don't ever recall a time where we were budgeted enough for that.
Okay. Mike shaking your head, so,
I can agree with adding 100,000 to it.
okay, I think we're good with doing that, so we're gonna increase that line by $100,000. And then in the safety lit, the next one on Shannon's recommendation list here is to increase the secure beds from 150 to 250, which I think we kind of discussed, knowing at these last meetings that number seemed low and we had concerns, but
I was in the auditor's office today when an invoice came in, I think for $8,800 just from one place. Is that right? Was that from the Pendleton? About $8,800 today. So I am in agreement, well, because I've always said 300,000, so I wasn't sure why it went down from 300 to 150, but I'm in agreement to raising that as well.
Okay. Jay, or you have a? Okay, so I mean, I think everybody says, okay, so we're gonna go back to 250 on that one. This next one, I'm not sure really takes any, action. I mean, it's in the general fund already.
Yeah, the next
I
two
mean, I
really
would
don't.
not want to zero it out
Mhm.
for the elections. I would
No,
myself.
it has to be budgeted. I just
Yeah.
was, I wanted to call it out as a one-time cost for next year that we won't see for 3 after that, or 2 after that.
Two, it's,
Um,
we have 3 out of 4 and one is the city election and they pay
so,
some of that. Yeah, they pay some of it, but it's not much, but
yeah, I just don't want us to not remember that, I guess.
yeah, we hold 2 countywide elections and 1 city of
Right.
Newcastle election. So we're at 3 out of the 4 years. Okay, so so we really don't need to do anything on that one.
No.
I'm thinking then. On the next one, like I said, we've already got 400 built into
Mhm.
the budget. We're 6 and 7. Were you wanting to lower that? Change that? I'm trying to,
I struggle with knowing exactly how much those other 2 are. I know we've seen a contract that was prepared by the EMS folks. Right, rough draft. Yeah, mock contract, I guess, if you will. I appreciate that. Thank you, Bobby. But we know the 290 number because it came to us in the form of a proposal from the city. So I'm okay leaving the $400,000 there and not spending it unless we have to, if that's what we want to do. If we're talking about having to jockey things all around because we're going to be over what was advertised anyway, then I'm fine leaving it at 400.
I assume there's a K missing after that 290.
Yeah, yeah. It's 290,000, not $290 on my document.
I said, I think there's a K missing.
okay. So is that,
Everybody's okay with it, yeah.
okay. And then it's up to the commissioners to negotiate that out with those 3
And if they need
entities to
more money
decide.
than what that 400 is, they need to come see us.
And it sounds like, I guess, we were made aware that it sounds like the city is willing to do a 2-year contract, which is good news, and that's in the works. And that way, this will get us through these big changes that are coming up in 28, when we can all figure out what's going to shake out then. So that's good news. Yep, so that's good news. I'm gonna let you throw out the wage recommendations because you're the guy that's been driving the ship, Shannon.
Yeah, I think every employee in the county heard us come to a consensus on meeting 100% of midpoint last Wednesday. And well, they probably didn't all watch it, but a bunch of them did, and a bunch of them talked to each other. But I think that we should go ahead and do it, meet 100% of midpoint for all employees.
And you said that impact was about $500,000.
$500,000 to the general fund, yeah.
And does that include, sorry, Debbie, go ahead. I was just wanting to ask if that includes the potential, because it affects, is when you say general fund, is that the park and the health? Because, and also community corrections, because
This would be raises for everybody, yes. It will change that whole total. Yeah, that's just the numbers that were in the 380 currently.
yeah, that's what that impact raises on
Yeah,
that little thing there.
That
is the
little
impact
document,
raises.
that the boxes underneath of that shows the impact of the raises. So it's a $500,000 impact to the general fund. It's 101,439 impact to the highway. 13,339 to the park. 34,268 to health. 135,249 to public safety. $55,019 to PSAP, and $9,027 to EMS, and $38,000 to jail lit, based on the changes we made a while ago.
Okay. So the park and the park, the health and the general would be the actual impact to the levy, the general, the total levy. So
Yep.
those have to, so it's.
The park is 13,000
Mhm.
and the health is 34,000.
So it's more like 550,000 if
Pretty close, 547.
How much did you say to the public safety lit?
Public safety lit would be 135,249. And I sent that document to y'all in your email.
and that is the full, what, you know,
That's the full 100% of midpoint off of Wagner Irwin Shealy's report.
And you said next year is one extra pay.
Some counties it is, but we thought it was 6 months.
Is it 27 the next?
So it's just 26 or so.
No, I mean, will 2027 be an extra pay?
2030, if it figures right. It's every 11 years. And
Yeah.
we think it was done in 19.
Okay.
Okay.
It was a year that we were.
Some counties have it this year. Some counties have it in 2027. I know.
Yeah,
I checked around.
yeah.
So
But no, she misfigured ours isn't.
ours is only 26 pays. So we're good.
well, don't everybody jump at the same time to share their thoughts here. I mean.
I already think I put my position that I'm okay with 100. I'd rather, I think those income projections are so conservative that things will be a little higher. I don't think we'll eat into reserves by giving these raises, but if we do, I still don't have a problem.
I still feel good with everything that's been discussed since the last time I spoke.
So I'm not necessarily against this, but what I would like to see is, and Debbie's going to shoot me. She's talking, she won't hear me, she won't shoot me. No, you're fine. I was going to try to talk while you're talking so you wouldn't hear me, so you wouldn't shoot me. I would like to see, because I'm assuming if I can track how things have gone today, we might as well just ask Shannon, Chad, Kenan, and Scott what they think, and then move on from there. But assuming that those four are all in agreement, I'm not saying that I'm not in agreement, but I would like to see those numbers, everything that we've done today. Okay, that's what I would like to see. And then, correct, yeah. Yeah, no, that's why, and absolutely, I don't want you to kill yourself. But it helps me to see things in black and white. And we've thrown around a bunch of numbers and this and that and move and move and move and move and move. So I'm not taking over the president's position, but I would like to know the four people. Because you just need four. But like I said, I'm not against it. I just want to see all the numbers in black and white instead of just estimated. So I will leave it to the other four or everybody else. Like I said, I'm not against it. I just need to see numbers in black and white. With everything that we've done today.
I'm not against it either, and I'm kind of like you. I'd like to see it in numbers. But we did talk about it for a long time for 100%. So I think it's going to be a tough decision for me.
Based upon our discussion last week as we approached the raises for the county employees, I know fit easily within the budget was a 97% recommendation by Wagner, Early, and Shealy. And with the reserves and some of the moves, I would not be against 100% at all.
So again, I'm not against it. I just need to see numbers in black and white. so we know how everything that we have done has affected. And I know nobody wants to have another meeting, no, everybody is meeting out, but, I just want to see that, like I said. I'm sure it's all going to be fine, but I just want to see numbers in black and white.
So these are budget prep meetings.
yeah.
We have actual hearings on our budget.
I understand that, but I
that
would
we
like
can
to
go
see
through
that
the
before, I would
actual
like to
numbers.
actually have another budget prep meeting once all these numbers, so that we can go over it one more time and look at it. I know people don't like to have meetings. I get it. I don't like to have meetings. They're long and arduous, but there's been a lot of numbers thrown around. And I would dare most people, let's say people watching the live stream, repeat everything that we said we were going to do. I can't repeat everything that we said we're going to do. And I am a black and white, need to see things in dollars. And I get, yes, Chad, I understand that these are budget prep meetings and we will have a public hearing to do this. But I would just like to see all the numbers to compare, to see every change that was made, what it looks like. No different than what we're doing today from the changes we made whenever we were here last.
Okay, we can have that discussion after this discussion, because we have to have this discussion for Debbie to be able to put the information in. So
I understand.
that's where we're at.
But I can,
Well, let me ask you.
let me look.
And make sure that I'm right. This is what-
Well, she's asking him a question. Some reason I have down on the 13th, public hearing on 26 budget at 4:30.
I assume.
Okay,
For next week,
For next week.
okay, let me go back.
our budget is next week. The hearing is next week, right, Debbie?
Public hearing.
The public hearing.
All you're hearing next week is what you advertised.
Our regular meeting.
what
Yes.
everybody submitted.
So it is not our final adoption hearing. Yes, it's,
Special session for the 10th.
yeah. So there is no, yeah. Okay. So I think I've already heard a consensus of votes to go ahead and take it to 100%.
I'm okay with that.
I think that's what I've heard from pretty much everyone has said that so far. So I mean, there's a consensus there to do that. So I think, Shannon, since will you work with
I'm happy
Debbie to answer those questions, since you're the one that prepared this document? the
It's
last few years?
directly right off of the Wagner Irwin Shealy report. No
So you're just-
calculations I have
We're
to do at all.
budgeting fully to is that, I'm sorry, Debbie, I don't want to interrupt you guys, but are you comfortable with that? Just budgeting directly to the Wagner Irwin Shealy report, altering the budget to that?
Yeah, and if you
To
need help, I'm
100% of
happy to answer
midpoint.
Questions if you need them.
Yeah, because that's what I asked him. I wanted to make sure it was.
So you're good with that? I know it was a nightmare last year because I heard about it from you guys.
In September.
No, we are talking, if we do it, we're talking about January,
First of the year,
correct?
yeah.
Just to confirm with everyone, January 1st?
Yeah, we promised
Okay.
last year we wouldn't do it
That's-
to you again.
All right, so if Debbie's good with that, there's already a consensus, so I guess we can move on. Are there any other thoughts or changes? I know that there was some mental health things that you brought up that I want to bring up, but I want to give everybody else a chance on anything else that they might have, questions, concerns, changes, or thoughts to the existing proposed budget. Okay, so I think you've all seen the emails that Debbie sent over about the mental health concerns. Any thoughts on that? Anyone want to?
I'll share my thoughts real quick.
Sure.
I looked at that $280,000 and seen that it has gone up and up and up and not sure what, I mean, I know they provide services for us, but are we getting what we paid for and can we reduce that amount is where I was looking at. Can we take it back to where it was 3 years ago or something like that? And what I learned is the answer to that is no. We cannot reduce it. We can't take it back. The law was developed to fund those mental health organizations, and we basically have no choice but to fund it at last year's amount or last year's amount plus the average growth quotient whichever is bigger. So if the growth quotient goes down, we still have to fund at last year's amount. So it took some digging, looking for information. I appreciate Debbie doing some looking around and getting the actual number, and the actual number that we got came back, what was it? $29,000 more than what we, 19,000, more than what we had actually budgeted. So that number, I think Debbie is going to incorporate into the budget.
Uh-huh.
I think we have to by law.
Does anyone have any additional thoughts or questions, concerns on increasing those numbers for the mental health?
Not,
Debbie's recommendations?
not that I want to share publicly.
Okay. So everyone's good with it then? Jay? Bobby, can
Oh,
you pass
excuse
that
me.
to Jay, please? Thank you.
I noticed that the documentation we received referred to that as comprehensive mental health. I'm going to assume that's now Meridian Health. And at that point, I'll just abstain from remainder of this conversation as I am a board member to Meridian Health.
Okay.
He was appointed by the commissioners.
Thank you, Jay. I appreciate that.
And I will tell you that I talked to one of the judges, who said that it's a lot better than.
Yes.
I'll publicly say I'm glad.
All right, so Mike, Shannon, I think everybody's shaking their head. Bobby?
Yes.
Good.
Oh,
Okay.
absolutely.
Okay, so I think we're good to make those changes based on your recommendation, Debbie. Anybody have anything else additionally for this budget, proposed budget?
Just to reiterate, I want to see it in writing.
Okay. I thought,
I was gonna say, do we need to put another meeting on the calendar? Maybe that,
Yeah, it wouldn't take, I mean, it wouldn't be a all-day meeting. I mean, it wouldn't take, I don't even think it would take, I mean, we're just at a little
Yeah,
over an
we're-
hour. I don't think it'd even take an hour.
so we'll get the
So-
information, take a look at it, and then we can get together and chat.
Yes. That is my request.
As long.
As long as we don't do it on a Friday afternoon. If we can do it in the morning. And Shannon, if you can't be here, you're more than welcome to Zoom in.
Sure.
I'll throw out a date of Wednesday, September 3rd.
We have to get with Dan before we say.
Okay.
Okay,
Yes, because
Sorry, Ann.
she has the calendar for this room.
Mhm.
yeah.
I cannot that date. I'll be on a
Okay.
flight.
I was trying to do.
I can be, but I've still got a council work session on the
Did
28th.
you bring the calendar? Good, because we're gonna. Well, let me ask the question, do you think this is something that we could do prior to the meeting on the 10th? Or do we need, how much time I mean,
And I'm gonna be out at least one day, maybe two next week.
yeah.
I don't know how.
Well, I'm talking about our meeting on September the 10th. Is this something we can make changes before? I mean, you can just have it before our meeting. Have a work session prior to our meeting
No, you adopt it. No, I have to have it, it'll have to be, I have to have it in so you can sign it as adopted.
that day. Okay, that's what I was asking.
So-
That's
I
what
have
I,
to have it in the system to print it out so you can sign the ordinance.
that's
What
what I was.
about the 28th? We had, I mean, work sessions we were doing before on that last Thursday.
I know that date's clear because I just told you to take it off the calendar.
I'm okay on the 28th.
I can do the 28th as long as it's early. It'd have to be like 9 o'clock.
Well, we have it on our calendars at 4:30.
Oh, I can do
Well,
4:30 in the
She
afternoon.
took it, it wasn't advertised, so
Have you filled it out? Can we do the 28th still? We can still put it back. on.
I'll be out of state.
Okay,
I may be able to Zoom. I don't know.
how about the 26th?
Yes.
Will Bobby had mentioned morning. Are you wanting to shoot for morning, Bobby?
Yep.
I can make that morning work.
Okay, so like 10 a.m. on August the 26th. For a 1 hour budget review, we'll call it, if you will.
10.
10 a.m. does that give you plenty of time, Deb? To get everything pulled together? Okay,
If
well,
we're here 2 hours, I will personally, well, I won't say I shoot myself, but I won't be in a good mood.
okay, so we're gonna have okay, so
Me too.
so we're gonna have it at 10 a.m. We're gonna shoot for an hour. Does that, I mean, because I don't want anybody causing harm to themselves.
Okay, at 10.
Okay, so we have a budget session scheduled for the 28th at 10 a.m.
Thank you. 26th at
26, I'm sorry, 26. I was,
And thank you guys for appeasing me. I just need to see things in black and white one more time.
okay. Anything else that anyone has that we need to discuss in this meeting? Motion to adjourn? All right, thank you, everybody, for coming.